There is something that's called la fofole. Supposedly, these are children that died through some horrific accident to where they're demon-like children, and they appear in the shape of lights that try to get you to follow them so you'll be lost forever in the swamps.
But yeah, when you hear like scraping claws underneath the bed and it moves and you can, I was so terrified, dude. I pulled the blanket over my head. I could hear whatever it was breathing outside the sheet.
When I was a little gaffer there, we got into a car accident, hit a moose. My mom ended up under the steering wheel of the car, and she had a big hand-shaped bruise on her shoulder. It was like somebody pushed her underneath the steering wheel. My mom should have gotten decapitated. The weird part was we hit a moose, and we had a moose hanging from the rearview mirror.
The only other thing that I could think of would be a bear, but there's no bears in that area either. It's just not the right habitat for them, and when you shoot at a bear's going to move. It's going to take off for the most part. And this thing just shot and did nothing.
This material world that you're told is bound by science and everything else, obviously science and physics are very important. There is so much more out there that is left to study, that is left to learn about.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Investigation Cryptoparalogy. Sit back, get relaxed, and crack open your favorite cold beverage as we dive deep into the abyss of what we were told couldn't possibly exist. Hi folks, welcome to Investigation Cryptoparalogy. This is John M. from 100 Mile House, British Columbia, Canada. And he's had some wild way out stories that he'd like to tell.
Yeah, that puts me on the spot. I don't like it.
Just be yourself.
What's that?
So just be yourself.
Oh, that's a little bit weird if I be myself.
It's okay. My listeners have heard worse.
Yeah. Because you even noticed that when I fucking started playing with warp there, I went quiet for a little bit.
Yeah, but you're doing just fine. You're talking. Talking is what matters.
I guess so, yeah. I wonder how well the audio picks up from my phone.
Picks up really well. Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
you're nice and clear.
Just because I know some phones are really weird about that kind of stuff.
Man, some phones audio doesn't pick up at all. Some people actually have to wear earbuds to be able to make the audio pick up.
I can't even put an auxiliary cord into my phone.
Wow, it's one of those, huh?
Like it just doesn't pick up any sound, but yet like I can talk like this perfectly fine. The volume on my phone works perfectly fine. It's weird.
You never really went into anything about, the experiences that you've had. I mean, even off of Zoom, off of any, podcast or anything like that, you've never really gone into it. What exactly have you seen?
Black figure that watches me while I sleep. Yeah, in the house.
Wow. Well, I was just going to say, have you ever turned the light on once it did it just disappear?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's why I sleep with a bunch of nightlights on. If I leave the door open, it just stands there. It doesn't do anything. It just hangs out.
Wow.
My buddy said I should charge at it one day, but
yeah,
definitely haven't.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd say go for it. I mean, I've told people to charge at Sasquatch, so like if you think it's there, I mean, you see all the videos, right?
Yeah.
And it's always this really shaky video, and then the people either they don't go toward it, or they try to follow it, or they run. And I'm like, well, if you think it's really a Sasquatch, go toward it. Keep videoing. I mean, you get some podcasters that go, "Oh no, don't run at it," stay away from it, run away from it. You should have took more video, but run away at the same time. And I'm like, what the hell? Pick up a great big rock. You're going to find out what it is real quick and just chuck it at it, right? If you
Yeah.
hit it and it's a guy, the guy's going to say, ow. If it's not a guy, it's going to run toward you. And, if it's 9 feet tall and running towards you, at least we will get good video when the police department releases it.
It's true. What if he steals the camera though?
The hell would he do with a camera?
Who knows?
So what else have you experienced?
When I was a little gaffer there, we got into a car accident, hit a moose. My mom ended up under the steering wheel of the car, and she had a big hand-shaped bruise on her shoulder. That was an interesting time.
You want to rewind that? Say that in English. A hand-shaped bruise on her shoulder?
Yeah. It was like somebody pushed her underneath the steering wheel. My mom should have gotten decapitated.
Oh, shit.
The weird part was we hit a moose and we had a moose hanging from the rearview mirror.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me about that. You just never said anything about the hand-shaped bruise.
Yeah. So that happened. There was a book that I had a while back. It went into the experiences like that.
So did the book say that it was a spiritual presence, angelic presence, or?
Well, it's just it just went into depth about how like people in dire situations have something happen to them that's miraculous.
Okay.
Like people on Mount Everest and they have somebody guide them somewhere safe, right?
Yeah.
They're not an actual person that's there. It's just a spirit or something.
Yeah, like the countless amounts of car accidents, and somebody says, well, tell this this EMS or that EMS, thank you for sitting with me the whole time, and then they describe them, and the county's like, well, nobody like that works for us.
Exactly.
Strange indeed. Well, you live in a part of Canada. I mean, there's a lot of people who live in 100-mile house, but still in the area around the city, it's just wilderness, right?
Basically, yeah.
Have you ever seen anything in the wilderness? And I'm not talking about Sasquatch, just anything weird in general.
I have not.
Hmm.
There's nothing being really weird. We got lots of reserves around here and whatnot, but those the schools from back in the day that like took native children and whatnot, whatever they're called.
The Bureau of Indian Affairs School. Yeah, I actually went to one of those.
Yeah, where they like ended up killing children and stuff and torturing them and.
Yep.
Yeah, my friends bought a house on the reserve up in Williams Lake there, and the first thing the natives did was give them a bunch of sage to sage the house, because the house that they bought was built by like the curator of one of those schools.
Hmm.
And at night you go around there and it is creepy as hell outside. You always get feeling of people watching you.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that around a school, but back east where I'm actually from, there's a lot of it used to be a big reservation at one point in time, and it stretched all the way into Rutherford County where Cherokee is. And the cops would get called at night. Store owners would have to show up in the middle of the night because their doors would just be standing wide open and nothing on the cameras.
Weird. Yeah, I pick up on presence a lot. Like if there's something around, like watching me, like when I'm driving anywhere, all of a sudden I'll get a weird feeling like somebody's in the back seat or in the box of my truck, just kind of watching me.
Do you ever see these presences?
Nope. And it's always when it's around like native land.
Strange.
It really unsettles me. I do not like it at all.
Well, you can actually make these presences and that dark figure go away, right?
Probably. I've just never looked into it.
Well, you don't really have to look into it. Literally, the only thing you have to do is when the dark presence shows up, just tell it, you're not welcome here. This is not your house. You may have been attached to the land. You may be attached to the house at one point in time, but this is no longer your house. It's no longer your land. You're not welcome here. You need to go. And then, of course, if you have sage, burn sage. If you have a store up there anywhere that sells like candles and crystals and stuff like that, you can get it's hard to describe. In layman terms, I guess you call it a white candle. Get about 4 of those and just light them around your room or whatever, and just let them burn completely out. And you could also get small crosses. They don't have to be made out of gold or silver or anything, but just small crosses. Say a prayer over them and then bury them at all 4 corners of the house.
Yeah.
And that'll actually drive out evil spirits.
Well, I don't think it's evil because it's like never done anything, but like it just stands there, hangs out, right?
Well, if it's never bothered you, I wouldn't bother it. But if it ever does anything, I mean, moving keys, anything that you put down or your mom puts down, anything that gets moved, anything that gets misplaced, you think you misplaced it, but you didn't touch it, then I would say it's time for it to go.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think anything's happened like that. I mean, I don't know if Mom notices anything, but I sure don't.
Because the next step to that is physical touch, right?
Yeah.
Got anything else you want to talk about? Because I've been building up this episode for a while.
I know you have. You tricked me into it.
Well, that's how you get people on a podcast, right? You just get them in Zoom and then you hit record and you start talking.
I'll just click disconnect.
That's something you'd do, of course.
Another weird one with me and Marshall. We were talking about spirits and stuff in his mom's Jag while we were driving home from the shop one night, and all of a sudden the lights started coming on and off of the vehicle while we were driving.
Never had that happen.
And if I could ever get him in there, he can tell you other stories about that too. But yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's just a trick, right? Getting Marshall to come online. Cricket.
It was weird.
Sounds like it was weird.
I think that's mostly all of my weird experiences.
Hey, you had the cojones to come on here after you were tricked on here. But you still got it out. And
yeah.
And I do actually have listeners in Canada, so maybe if they hear this, they'll finally email me and go, "Hey, man, I had this experience or I had that experience. When can I come on?"
It'd be cool if more listeners did.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've talked to a couple of different podcasters, and like they said, getting listeners to actually come on and talk about experiences, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
The easy part is, me reading emails or, doing what I did for the most recent podcast, which was I told some stories, myths and legends of the Cherokee people, and then I extrapolated on the Skinwalkers, which is just about every native tribe has a version of the Skinwalker. And what people are saying is a Skinwalker for the Navajo nation is completely wrong. It's not what the Navajos are saying. It's what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
And I've extrapolated and better explained, what's going on with, the skinwalker on the Navajo Nation and how it comes about. Most skinwalkers in most, whether it be native, First Nation in Canada, or Native Nation here in the U.S., most skinwalkers are basically, they're either medicine men or shamans who have gone bad, and they dabble in dark medicine or black medicine, basically black magic, and they can conjure a skinwalker, or they themselves can become, they go from being a shapeshifter to a skinwalker.
Yeah.
And that's the misconception that a lot of people have. A lot of people have the misconception that a shapeshifter is a skinwalker, and that's not the thing. A shapeshifter is anybody who is completely in tune with nature to the point that they can put, say, like a coyote pelt on, or a wolf pelt, or any kind of pelt. And if they're in tune enough with nature, they can become that animal. A skinwalker, on the other hand, is pure evil. It's conjured, or it's the medicine man or the shaman who has become evil in their dabblings in dark magic, and they become, the essence of the skinwalker, which is literally it. You have the appearance, or the animalistic appearance, but yet you're still eerily human. So you like people, do drawings and things. So you have claws on your hands, well, on your fingertips. Toenails are almost like claws. The skin's real sinewy, tight to the bones. The best description of skinwalker in, say, First Nations lore is the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Somebody who has, who has done, great atrocities to mankind, whether it be murder, rape, kidnapping, killings, stuff like that. The first time that they taste human blood, they go from being human to Wendigo. It's just a long, drawn out process.
Yeah. I was bored the one day, and I looked up how to summon skinwalkers, and it's quite a thing.
Not something you want to do, buddy.
No.
Most natives will actually they won't tell you at all. That they keep it to themselves. They don't talk to outsiders about it. See, I'm smart. With my grandfather training me to be a medicine man when I was younger, he taught me, certain prayers and protection ceremonies and stuff like that I could do, whether it be in my head or, physically out and around me, that I can talk about skinwalkers. Normally, this is what happens. And there's a guy in New Mexico. I can probably get him to come on here at some point when he's not busy and get him to explain it better. But the Navajo won't talk about skinwalkers at all. They won't even go outside after a certain time at night, because the skinwalkers are known to be on the reservation. And Randy would tell you that if you've seen it, if you looked it in the eyes, you or somebody in your family would get deathly sick to the point of death. You can't talk about them, because if they hear it, it'll make them come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, you could, be talking about a skinwalker, open your door, and there would be one standing there. Now, in their lore, they're not, as tall as a human. They're like 2 foot, 2.5 foot, with bright red eyes, and you can see them coming from a distance. Now, Randy used to take video and stuff of outside of his property. There were massive handprints. I mean, he had a trailer that had the old metal siding, and there were massive handprints, like something had slapped the side of the trailer. And Randy's just a little short guy, little tiny thing. There's no way his hand made that handprint.
Yeah.
I mean, he had goats come up missing, horses come up missing. His corral was tore up at one point. it was just a lot of shit going on. And he calls, well, most Navajos call Sasquatch the Hostine. And he would always say that, it's the Hostine, outside. And I mean, there was times that he set his laptop out. He had these big wooden spools, like power cable would come on. And there's times that he'd go outside and set his laptop up out there and just hit record for, audio, and catch all kind of weird shit. Sounds I have never heard. But yeah,
Pretty
I mean,
wild stuff out there.
oh yeah. I mean, if you're ever in the woods on the snowmobile or whatever, you just catch something out of the corner of your eye. It could be a bear, could be a deer, elk, moose. Doesn't automatically mean it's Sasquatch. Now, a lot of people know me from the podcast, on other people's podcasts, from the stories that I've told of Sasquatch. But my thing is I've actually seen them in person. I mean, I've been within feet of them. And and then me being out in the woods alone, I know if it's, a Sasquatch or not a Sasquatch, because Sasquatch aren't just going to walk up to you. They're not the fluffy, fuzzy bunny creatures of the forest and just say, hey, right? They stay as far away as possible, because throughout the last 100,000 whatever years that they've been, alive as we have, or Neanderthal or whatever, they've learned that interaction with the hairless ones is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, what you run up on in the woods may not be a Sasquatch. It could be a Wendigo. It could be, a myriad of other things. Like in West Virginia, they got something in West Virginia. I'd love to know whether John has heard about it or not. In Point Pleasant, West Virginia, called the Mothman.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Mothman.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that, it's an evil presence. It's an evil presence. Every time it shows up somewhere, there's an accident, like a bridge collapses or whatever. But nobody ever stops to think, maybe it's an omen, maybe it's a good omen saying, hey, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the Canadian again. Oh God, bright light.
Turned on the overhead light.
You have an overhead light. Cool.
Ceiling titty.
Ceiling titty. God. Looks like it.
But what's going on here?
I don't know what's going on. Your video went away.
I couldn't figure out how to turn the video off. Yeah, and like onto like the Wendigo stuff and whatnot. There was a thing on Reddit about like random caves all over the US and people going missing and stuff. Forget what it was about. But
that's actually unfortunate.
I'll see if I can find it here again.
Yeah, don't worry about dead air. When I go to edit it, I'll take all the dead air out.
All right. Map of missing people compared to map of cave systems. Right here it says the top map shows mysterious cases of people vanishing without a trace. The bottom map shows America's largest cave systems. And where the largest cave systems are is where the most concentrate of where people go missing. And then there's a lot of people here talking about it. Where's the name here for it? I'll just send you this link here.
Okay. Yeah, I've never really dug that deep into the Wendigo experience itself, or Wendigo.
Yeah, I'll send it to you on Discord there.
Okay. Yeah, I know Louisiana's got a version of the Wendigo that's called the Rougarou. And it literally happens the same way. The first time a person gets taste of human blood, whether it be through cannibalism or whatever, the change begins.
Yeah. Yeah, right in the second comment there, it talks about how in the national parks and federal land, southern Texas, Missouri, the Driftless, Tennessee, Western Appalachians, bunch of like areas that are common for people going missing near these cave systems.
Yeah, I like how you scroll down and somebody says this has been debunked. Actually, it hasn't been debunked just because Joe Blow went to a cave system and he didn't disappear and he came home. Well, that just means he got lucky.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
naysayers, dude. I really do. Because
on TikTok they say it's a conspiracy about cannibal caves. People getting eaten in them and stuff. And
well, I mean that's just the whole thing. That there was a race of human alien hybrids at one point in time. They were called the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki actually had, and it's not so much in written testimony, but it's been handed down from generation to generation to generation through natives. The Anunnaki actually had a taste for human flesh, and they would lure natives into the caves. A kid would come up missing, and you'd hear the kid in that language saying, help me, and it would come from the cave, and people would be drawn to the cave, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd never be seen again.
Kind of like skinwalkers saying stuff, girls screaming and stuff. And
Right. That's just like there's many different types of Sasquatch. There is one type in New Mexico. It's a thinner, leaner, almost shorter. It's not quite as tall as say like the Pacific Northwest. But they can't actually speak, but they can mimic. So they can mimic the sound of your dog, the sound of a coyote, your own sound of like you're outside and someone says, "Hey, Steven," and then it hears that and it hears it enough, it could actually mimic, "Hey, Steven, come here," and then you go out into the woods and then sayonara.
Yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff out there, that's for sure.
Well, David Pilates actually does a really good one. It's the Missing 411. I mean, you could look into that if you want to really get into stuff like that. There's places all over Canada too.
I think that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, right here, Missing 411 cluster map PDF. Missing 411 Kentucky.
Yeah, that's David Pilates. Now, David Pilates and a local news station here in Idaho, EastIdahoNews.com, actually did a report. There was a kid here named Dior Coons Jr. Now, he was like 3 or 4. Him, his mom, his dad, his mom's grandfather, and a friend of the family went camping in a town called Ledore, Idaho. It's up north. And how it went down is the parents went down to the creek because the grandfather and the grandfather's friend said that they had caught some fish. Well, the dad didn't believe him, so the dad and the mom went down to the creek. Well, went to go down to the creek to see where the fish were, and Dr. Jr. was following them, and then he turned around and went back to where his grandfather was. So the mom and dad went on down to the creek. Well, the dad turned around and was looking back up toward where the campsite was, and seeing the friend of the grandfather and the grandfather, looking, searching around. And then they went back up there and said, well, where's little Dior? And the grandfather said, well, he's right there, but he wasn't there. This kid disappeared. I mean, literally just poof, disappeared. The social media tried blaming the grandfather, tried blaming the friend. I happen to know the grandfather's friend, and he's not that. I mean, he did some stuff in his past, but that's in his past. He did his time. He paid his dues, but he ain't that kind of person, right? He wouldn't have hurt a kid. And they had search dogs come in there, canvassed the whole area. Cadaver dogs found nothing. David Pilates did a little write up on it. They didn't check the scree hill off to the sides, the scree hills, the scree coming off the mountains. They didn't check the mountainsides. They kept going into that one campground, that one campsite, the search and rescue did.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, they canvassed the creek on their hands and knees, cutting up logs and everything just in case he got into the creek, got trapped. Didn't find him there, but they never checked the mountains, the mountainsides, never. And there's a lot of mountain lions up there. A lion could have grabbed him by his shoulder and took off with him.
Yeah, they're big enough.
Anything could have happened. But just like David, that David has said time and time again, people and kids both go missing. Well, you check all the obvious spots. Is there water nearby? Is there rock? Is there a rock field nearby? Places where a body could, be missing, you not see it, because people have gone missing in the past and show up to, their bodies show up 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, that happened here up in Canada not too long ago. A lady was going down to Vancouver for her son's wedding, left Alberta, and never showed up 30 years ago, which was like just recently. They found her inside of her car in one of the lakes.
Damn.
Wild, hey?
Yeah. While I don't know if you've seen it on the news or not, but it was the Brian Laundrie thing.
Yeah, I only
Gabby,
heard little
well, it was Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. They were supposed to be a couple, right? And they showed videos of them traveling across country and stuff. To make a long story short, Brian killed her here in the Teton National Forest.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know if he killed her there, but that's where he dumped her body, right? In the search for her body, they found 5 other people they've been looking for 20 years.
Yeah.
In the exact spots where the people were supposed to be. Now, how could somebody go missing like that? Was it alien abduction? Did something that, goes bump in the night, grab them and haul them off somewhere? There was a little boy in North Carolina that got lost for 5 days, and he said the bear people took care of him.
Yeah. Meaning Sasquatch, probably.
Probably.
It's the only thing that I'd, connect with bears, right?
Yeah. There was a skier up in Kelly Canyon here, and not too far from me. He got off trail. He was night skiing, which is not illegal, if you're a good enough skier. Cross country skier is what he was. But he was, on a trail at night. He got off trail. He got lost. It got really cold. And when search and rescue got there, he was under what looked like tree limbs with a bunch of other sticks piled in on top of him, and a bunch of pine boughs and stuff, for a floor. And he was out cold, he was asleep. And he said that the only thing that he remembers is he got off trail and he started going down the hill fast. He ran into a tree and apparently knocked himself out. He said he came to and seen 3 large figures around him and another one that was putting the sticks and the limbs and shit over him.
Hmm.
He said they never spoke, never made a sound, and then they were gone. Was there, mountain men out there, or was it Sasquatch, or what was it? He doesn't know. We don't know.
Yeah. I sent you another article there, but she makes the point where you said how if you're in the forest and everything goes quiet, something's there, right?
Oh yeah, the forest will tell you.
Right here, she's like, I was busy clipping away, and then for some reason I noticed how quiet it had gotten. I could only hear a loud buzzing in my ears. That was different than the first time it had happened. It's about the missing 411 there, but she explains it very.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about that. I did a little bit of search and rescue when I was younger, but and a little bit when
Right
I got
here,
older. But
she said her brother was found approximately 5 miles away from where he was at the bottom of the canyon. They also found a bunch of skeletal remains, and they were all looking for ID and stuff.
okay, now I'm curious. What the hell is out there that's taking us?
Right?
I mean, am I going to be like one of the neighbors down the road, walk out my front door and never be seen again? Literally, man, old man down the road walked out his front door, and it's circulated through all the neighbors. That's how I heard about it. Walked out his front door, and it's been a couple of years ago, and just disappeared.
Yeah.
His wife said that the only thing he said he was going to do was go check the mail. And the mailboxes for the trailers and stuff, that they've got like blocks of them every so often. And his mailbox was literally right on the end of his lawn. So out the front door to the mailbox and gone. Broad daylight.
Yeah, it's weird how some stuff like that happens for sure.
Just makes you think.
Oh, it definitely does. It's like all the conspiracy theories that people have of like lizard people, and like that could be a thing, right?
Well, you mean conspiracy? Everybody in the world, when Obama was elected, everybody in the world seen the same thing. Everybody watched two sets of eyelids blink on that bastard.
Yeah.
Humans do not have two sets of eyelids. Not to my knowledge. I mean, and if you think
the odd one out.
well, maybe I am, man. Maybe I'm the one that doesn't have two sets of eyelids, but I mean, I know how a lizard blinks, and crocodiles are the same way. They blink, and then as they're opening their eyes, there's a thin film that'll pull back.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to say that there's a conspiracy that the lizard people run the government or anything like that, but everybody in the world's all seen the same thing if it's on the same night, because it was all over Reddit, it was all over YouTube, it was all over podcasts.
Wonder if you can still find that video, because I know that they've taken a lot of stuff down off the internet.
Oh, there's stuff being removed on the daily.
Oh yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I mean, that's just like here in the US, they've actually made it illegal to be a conspiracy theorist. But the thing is it's not conspiracy if it's true. If billions of people all see the same thing, it's not a mass hallucination. It's the truth. They don't want you to know the truth, so therefore they call it a conspiracy.
Sorry, I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
No, that's fine. Now, if you're drawing a blank, then you're pretty much tapped of information, right?
Probably. Well, I just think of other stuff too, like they call it the Cicada 3301. Have you heard of
Cicada.
that before?
I don't think I have.
You should look it up because it's a massive worldwide puzzle which only a few people have figured out, and every time they figure it out, the person updates it. But the last time it's been updated was 2014.
Cicada 3301. So, I tried the hardest puzzle on the internet and failed spectacularly. Says the hardest puzzle on the internet is not perhaps something to be attempted on whim during a quiet January afternoon. But ever since I first heard about Cicada 3301, a mysterious event somewhere at the intersection of a game, a competition, and a job interview, I wanted to test my mettle. It couldn't be that hard. Huh. In the white text on the black background, the postage message read, "Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it and it will lead you on a road to finding us. We look forward to meeting a few that will make it all the way through." The hell, they actually have a picture of it.
Yeah. And
Oh, I know that language. The picture that I'm looking at has a cicada dead center, and then there's symbols on the top in black and symbols on the bottom in red.
yeah,
It is a mixture of, get this, it's a made up language. It's a mixture of Mandalorian from Star Wars and the Anunnaki, who never had a language.
yeah,
Those are the symbols. Now, of course, I'd have to dig through notes and this and that and the other. And I'm not saying that I could, break the code or anything, but between, say, like me and 100 others, they could probably break it.
yeah.
Especially some diehard Star Wars nuts.
There's a 17-minute video by Lemino that I've watched before, and that's pretty good to watch. It explains the first, second, third puzzle.
Right, so there it is. Hello, Epiphany is upon you. Your pilgrimage has begun. Enlightenment awaits. Good luck, 3301.
And literally, people from around the world had to like find different books and numbers and all sorts of stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Hi, I just wanted to stop and just for a second and talk about one of my sponsors, and that's J. Wilson Services LLC, Oxford, Ohio 45013. If you'd like to get a hold of him, if you're around the Oxford, Ohio area, the number is 513-828-2487. And he is a really good electrician and can do pretty much anything that you would like him to do. So if you have a need for an electrician, give him a call. That's J. Wilson Services LLC, 513-828-2487. What in the hell? I can't read that. It's a gray background with bright ass red writing.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Also keep in code form all strings Jesus Christ. And this came about when? In 2014?
Here, let me go back here. It started between 2012 and 2014. And as of January 2014, the third puzzle has yet to be solved. So, and no new puzzles have started since January 2015. Oh, however, a new clue was posted on Twitter on January 5th, 2016. Ever since, it hasn't been updated, so. And then I guess there was a film inspired by the organization released in 2021 called Dark Web Cicade 3301.
Yeah, well, see, here's the weird thing. Anonymous, the hacker is anonymous, and the whole QAnon thing that was going around, they're all connected, right?
Yeah.
They've been talking about a hidden message on the internet for a while. I wonder if this has anything to do with it.
Maybe. It could definitely be part of that, because it said they did want the smartest minds in the world, right?
Well, 90% of the time when people write things out like, I was looking, well, I think it's below this, below that. Yeah. Where this guy said, I decided to have one last try at solving the puzzle to stave off the temptation to cheat. I would try to solve the most recent cipher, a 70-character code, and it's literally, it's in blocks of 5 letters. So those blocks of 5 letters, 13 columns. Just go through the alphabet and say like I is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So that's 8. And then just if you break the letters in the 13 columns and then go by the alphabet, you can actually get a numeric string. And once you get the numeric string, you can put the numeric string into any kind of extrapolator, and the extrapolator will actually tell you what that phrase says.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like binary, but it's not using ones and zeros. It actually uses the entire alphanumeric process.
Yeah.
I don't want to find the fuckers. I don't want to be taken off world somewhere. I'm perfectly content right here.
Yeah, I looked into it for a little bit, but I never really pursued it or anything. I've just watched videos and read up on it a bit.
Well, it wouldn't do you any good anyway, right? Readings for the rich.
Yeah, it sure is.
But no, that is really something to think about, because anything bad that really happens or goes on in our government, I know that Anonymous had some dealings in Canada, Russia, China, and other places. And then, of course, you have QAnon, or the Q, which are supposed to be the smartest motherfuckers on the face of the planet. And I'm sorry, I think, and this is just, me spitballing, but I believe that Q's behind the whole thing.
Yeah.
And if they're anything like people talk about, I don't want to be a member of the Q. Because people are going around saying that John F. Kennedy Jr. is Q. John F. Kennedy Jr. is not the smartest motherfucker by any means.
Yeah. Definitely gets you thinking.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes you think. That makes me almost want to break that paragraph back down and see if it doesn't actually say something different than what this cat thinks it did. But
Yeah.
he said that he solved it, and then the next morning it had already been solved and it had changed.
Oh, okay.
Wow. He said he gave up and just did the G2 crossword instead.
A
That's
little
funny.
bit easier.
See, they're not on this site that I clicked on. It's not letting you actually click on the pictures and blow them up. There's a binary code, and it has nothing to do with those 5-letter blocks.
Oh, okay.
It's a numeric. No, it's alphanumeric. There's letters in it. It's an alphanumeric string, and it's more like the way it's looking to me, because like I said, I used to program for games and stuff. It looks like a programming code,
Yeah.
because most all programming codes begin with a 6 and end with a 6. It begins with a 6, it ends with a 6.
Never knew that.
Yeah. That's something a lot of people don't know. I mean, that's just like programming for World of Tanks, what we play, World of Warcraft, any Facebook games or anything else, anything that is programmed. Most all programming codes for large applications begins with a 6 and ends with a 6. That's wild.
You even learned something new today.
But dude, I'm constantly learning. You never stop learning. You always you gain knowledge every day. And like I tell everybody all the time, no question is a stupid question.
I mean, I was gonna try to come up with something, but I couldn't.
Yeah, you have nothing. I mean, technically, if somebody says, what color is the sky? And you say blue, you're right and wrong all at the same time, because the sky is not actually blue. It's just the way our eyes perceive it. Because once you get to, if you're in not a space shuttle, but a craft that's able to reach not space, but the beginning of space, and you look down, you don't see blue.
Yeah.
It's just clear. What we're actually seeing is water molecules in the atmosphere, and then the light reflecting off of them, and it reflects blue.
Well, it's like, what's the real color of a mirror?
A mirror?
Yeah.
Mirrors don't have any true color. Years and years ago, mirrors were made with clear glass and silver behind them.
It's green.
Green?
It's green.
Huh. Maybe if you smoke enough weed, it might look green. No, but I get what you're saying, because if you take a piece of glass and turn it to its side, it does have a green tint.
I forget what they call it, but it's something to do with science, obviously, but it's called like a true mirror or something like that. But yeah, I looked into it before just because I was curious, and the normal color of a mirror is green, but then a true mirror or something is like white or something.
Wait a minute, I thought you said reading was for the rich. Somebody lied.
I used to get into a lot of trouble for saying that at school.
Are you secretly rich?
I wish.
Well, you're able to wake up every day and you breathe. You're able to eat, drink water. Some people don't have those luxuries.
Yep, that's true.
shit, I don't have a lot of money. You know, if I hadn't have, if my sponsor had, and friend, by the way, hadn't have bought this audio equipment, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. You know,
Yeah.
His sponsorship on the podcast is what actually allowed me to replace the part of my computer that went tits up,
Yeah.
or I
and
wouldn't
so
be
you
doing
can
it.
continue
Period. So
making these.
yeah, and to continue making these, and the whole purpose of this is, it's not to do podcast. It's not to do a podcast on Sasquatch or aliens or werewolves or vampires. Of course, werewolves aren't what people think they are. Angels aren't really what people think they are. And this is stuff that I have learned recently. It's not so much to do the podcast on that and to, tell people about it, or listeners that come on and, tell their experiences. It's more for education. Because the more people who are educated into the fact that anything and everything you were ever told did not exist. Okay, your parents tell you that the boogeyman's under your beds. If you're not good, it'll get you. Well, in certain religions and cultures, there are creatures who exist in the plane between here and the veil, and the veil is very thin, who could be considered the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the dark figure that stands in your room. That dark figure may not actually be in your plane of existence. It may actually be just on the other side of the veil. That's why you can't interact with it. It can't interact with you, and there's no verbal interaction. It's standing there staring at you, thinking, what the hell is this? And you're looking back at it, saying the same thing. Well, what the hell are you? It can't hear you. You can't hear it. For all you know, it could be you from the future.
Alternate dimension.
That's right. I mean, scientists say, Neil deGrasse Tyson has even said that in our dimension, there is an alternate dimension where alternate us walk side by side. We could just never see each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like there's stories of like children who say they're this person, and then they go and their parents go and Google that person, and it turns out they're from like a royal family back many years ago, and that person is kind of reliving the life, right?
Yep, I've heard of that. Who were you in a past life?
Yeah, you're just now in a different body, which it's mind-boggling and confuses me. But
I honestly think that you were in the States in a different body.
yeah,
You weren't always Canadian.
I was probably, I don't know, a good chance.
Good chance you could have been a dog too. Who knows?
Yeah.
And I said that to a guy on a podcast once, and he said, well, I have had the urge to sniff another dog's butt. And I'm like, dude, I didn't need to hear that. Question is, what kind of dog were you? And the guy's real short, right? He's really, really short in person. And I asked him, I said, so you're like 4 foot nothing. You have the urge to sniff another dog's butt. Dude, you had to have been a wiener dog. A Chihuahua or something. Were you trying to say I'm short?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess my buddy had a weird experience. One of our friends passed away, and he busted out the Ouija board.
Oh, Christ.
He said he's had a few weird experiences with that.
Man, talking boards is nothing. That's no, stay the hell away from me for that shit. You can
Well-
open a door you can't close.
He was asking very specific questions that only Barrett would answer or know
Yeah.
to make sure it was him. And it was him because he answered these very specific questions that nobody else would know. And he basically just said that he's watching us, hanging out.
How long has this dark figure been watching you?
I don't know.
Before or after Barrett died?
It may be Barrett for sure. But Buddy also said there that he forgot to close the Ouija board there, and some
shit.
weird shit started happening.
Yeah. Well, the weird shit that's happening is being carried out by one specific demon, right? And that
Yeah.
specific demon's name is Zozo. He needs to get back in there and close that damn door.
Oh yeah, they definitely dealt with it once they remembered, but
Yeah, that's something that's even talked about it in native circles. They have a different name for it, but when it's broke down into English, it's literally Z-O-Z-O. It's Zozo.
yeah,
And this thing has been featured on all kind of TV shows, podcasts, radio shows. Nobody can figure out how come it's only the one demon. Well, it's not the one demon. When I say it's one specific demon, it's the specific entity, but it's not one demon. Because if you really start asking Zozo who Zozo is, Zozo will tell you that we are legion.
yeah.
It's every demon that has the ability to come through a portal will say that its name is Zozo. And Zozo in Egyptian, it's actually Egyptian letters, right? Well, hieroglyphs, not letters, hieroglyphs. It's Zozo actually translates into "we are legion."
That movie Legion was pretty creepy.
Yeah, but I've never seen anything walk backwards up a wall or across a ceiling.
Same, other than like a spider, but
Yeah, but it's technically, well, what that thing did is it actually crab walked up the wall and then inverted the limbs and then walked across the ceiling.
yeah, I'd probably just end myself right there if I seen that.
But then again, okay, let's look at it this way. Hollywood, they make these movies, right? People
Yep.
say that the human mind cannot come up with something that horrifying. And that may be possibly true, that the human mind can't come up with something that horrifying unless they've seen that before. Just like the ancient natives or ancient peoples, when they would do cave engravings or paintings of UFOs and shit. They had nothing like that in their natural world. They just painted or carved what they saw. So now you got these people in Hollywood that are coming up with these all different kind of monsters and things. Somebody had to have seen that and then described it to somebody else.
Well, it's like all the Aztecs that aren't there. They had full road systems, water systems.
Yep.
Like, they just disappeared.
Well, so did the Egyptians. And so did the Mayans. And then people like Jules Verne talk about Atlantis being the first civilized, modernized civilization. And then, okay, now I want you to think about this. I want you to, put it into a time frame, just in your mind. The Atlanteans were here first, right? And then Atlantis went through a catastrophic event that was supposed to have wiped out their civilization. All right.
Yeah.
1,000 years later, the Mayans pop up. No, the Aztecs popped up. And then the Aztecs went away and the Mayans popped up. The Mayans went away. The Egyptians popped up. They're all the same fucking people.
Yep. I forget what I was watching, but it went over that. It was something on like TV, like Discovery Channel or something like that.
Possibly. May have been ancient, and may have actually been Ancient Aliens you were watching.
No, I didn't really enjoy that show. I just found it too.
It's this big.
Yeah.
He's actually not that annoying in person. I met him at a Comic Con once, but no, he's not actually that annoying. But I think that's all for TV and for show. But no, I mean it does make a lot of sense. I mean, so you got the Atlanteans and their entire civilization was supposed to went tits up, and then the Aztecs come into play, and then they disappear. The Mayans come into play, and the Mayans had a calendar. Most of the numbers on their calendar didn't exist in their civilization. That's all English and European English and other, scholars and whatnot trying to decipher their language. So their great catastrophe that was supposed to have happened in 2012 actually happened in the year 200. Right?
Yeah.
So they go away, and then the Egyptians pop up, and then they've got this extravagant civilization,
Before we go
pharaohs,
too far, but that calendar there, because that was supposed to end in like 2012, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that there's like a lot of Mandela effects since then?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, maybe the world really did end in 2012. Maybe it did. The world as we knew it. Maybe it did end in 2012.
Yeah, and we're
Because
just in a different reality.
Right. We're in a different reality now. Not everything didn't begin again. It just rebirthed into another reality, because everything we seem to remember from childhood, people and scholars say never existed.
Yeah.
I'll use this for example. When you were growing up, did you ever see the book series, The Berenstain Bears?
Yeah.
Okay. Their last name was not Berenstain, it was Berenstein Bears. The whole thing about them is they were Jewish. They did everything that they didn't have Christmas. They had Hanukkah, and the last name was Berenstein, not Berenstain. But of course now it was the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking impossible. I still have the books.
It's like Pikachu off of Pokemon, right? I specifically remember him having a black thing on his tail, but every other picture, he doesn't.
He actually had 3 black marks on his tail.
Yeah.
One that started off at the base of his butt, one in the middle, and then the tip of his tail was black.
Yeah. Here's another good one. Where is it here? Jiffy. Jiffy peanut butter. It was never Jiffy. It was Jif.
Bullshit.
I'm not lying to you.
I always remembered Jiffy. Because I used to tell my mom all the time I wanted Jiffy crunchy peanut butter. Jif. Well, that's just like the actor Sinbad was never supposed to have been in a movie called Shazam.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to say that it's the basketball player. I forget his fucking name. It was Kazam. And I'm like, no, I'm holding the fucking VHS in my hand right now. Well, not right now, but at that point in time, I'm like, I'm holding the VHS in my hands. It says Shazam, and it's Sinbad, the comedian.
Yeah.
Sinbad even came out on the internet and said, yes, I was in a B movie called Shazam. It was the worst movie of my life, but I was in it. And everybody's like, no, you couldn't have been. There was never any movie named Shazam. If the actor is telling you that it's real, it's real.
Another one is Looney Tunes. It's Looney Tunes as a music tunes, TUNES, not tunes as in cartoons.
Well, now I actually remember that one because Mel Blanc even said that the reason why he named it Tunes is because he actually went to college on a music scholarship, and then he ended up doing voices. So it was Looney Tunes instead of TOONS.
Where's another? Fruit Loops.
Yeah, how they changed the spelling of fruit.
Yeah.
Changed it to FROOT.
Yeah, instead of FRUIT.
Exactly.
The Monopoly Man and his monocle.
I got several. I collect Monopoly, so please. What about his monocle?
How he doesn't have one.
Every Monopoly game that I have sitting in front of me, they all have a monocle.
But yeah, it says Monopoly Man and his monocle, or more like the fact that he doesn't have one. This, as some suggest, might be a simple confusion between him and the Planters Peanut Company mascot, Mr. Peanut.
Okay, now where they're getting that is probably from this particular Monopoly game that I'm holding in my hand. It's called Monopoly Speed, and he doesn't have a monocle. But on every other Monopoly game that I have on the shelf, he has a monocle.
Yeah.
That's just like
another
Mr.
one.
That's just like Mr. That they said that Mr. Peanut was not supposed to be a Mr. That it was actually Mesri's Peanut.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, no, it's always been Mr. Peanut.
Fruit of the Loom logo.
Haven't seen that one in a while.
How do you remember it being?
I remember it being some grapes, an apple, and something else.
Were they in anything?
No, they were just by themselves in a bunch.
Okay, you're correct. A lot of people believe that it used to have cornucopia behind it.
No.
But it never did, actually.
No.
Cheez-Its or Cheez-It?
God, they fucking with my favorite food now.
A lot of people believe that it used to be called Cheez-Its with ITZ, but they're actually just Cheez-It.
Yeah, well, everybody would say, I'm going to go get a box of Cheez-Its because that's just what everybody used to say. There was never a Z on the end of it, or an S for that matter.
Yeah. Double stuff Oreo. 1 F or 2 Fs.
Oh, Jesus, I don't even remember that one. Stopped eating junk food so damn long ago.
Yeah, there's just there's a ton of these things anyways.
Yeah, I mean, but the point that you were getting at, I can believe it. You know, like what I said, maybe, in 2012, maybe the world did end. And, a lot of people that remembered that stuff for what it was went with the world. And what's left is, well, what we have.
Yeah.
And now, and then the new generation or whoever replaced the people who went with the world in 2012, they're like, well, it couldn't be that way because I've never seen it. I mean, there's a lot of things in this world that happen on the daily, that Well, like I keep saying, and like you said, just because, or like Warp said, just because you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, doesn't mean that it's not real.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yep.
I don't even know
But
how we got on this topic.
oh, it doesn't matter. We don't have to stick to one topic, dude. It's just it's an informational, educational podcast.
Yep.
I'm not going to just sit and talk about, okay, now if you want to talk about werewolves and how they're real, but they're not werewolves in the sense of the Hollywood bullshit. There is a creature that's called a dogman. And the reason why it's called dogman is because it looks like a dog in the face. It's got a muzzle. It's got, it's not hairless, and has, pecs and all that crap, but it can run on all fours, but it doesn't stay on all fours, and it doesn't change from a man to a dog man. It's that creature all the time.
Mm.
And that creature has been reported all the way back, as far as written history can go. And then some cave paintings and etchings and, or carvings and stuff. It's just a creature. They breed, they have, for lack of a better term, pups. They have clans, they're in different parts all over the world. And the French say that the first instance of a werewolf was a man in France back in, I want to say, the 1400s. May have been a little earlier, give or take. And that he thought, he was bitten by a wolf, and then he thought in his mind, when the full moon came out and all the wolves were howling at the full moon, that he became and turned into a werewolf. And then they tried to say that he was a lycanthrope, which is literally werewolf. You turn into a lichen, a wolf, at the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
And it never happened that way. Then other people who are into the paranormal and cryptozoology and stuff, like myself and others, dug into it and come to find out that man was mauled by a dog man, because there's no other classification to it. The damn thing stands 7.5 feet tall. The haunches, it's like the back haunches of a dog, and the way the leg bends, how the knees backwards. When it steps into mud or soil, it leaves the print of a canine, just extremely huge. And if you ever see one, you will literally think you're looking at a wolf standing on 10 legs comfortably. Yeah. So the only word that anybody could ever come up with was dogman. I'm sure somewhere down the line, there'll be a different classification if a body's ever found or if one's ever killed, and we can keep it out of the hands of mainstream science. Maybe we can classify it.
Yeah.
But that is literally your werewolf. If you watch the movie Underworld, what those werewolves look like, they look just like a dog man.
I've never even seen a wolf in real life before, besides like at the zoo. Like I haven't seen one in, the wild.
You won't either. People talk. Well, they're everywhere, but people talk about how dangerous wolves are. Wolves are frigging scared of humans.
There's quite a few large packs up here.
Yeah, you won't. That's just like bears, man. And unless you're hunting a bear, you will never see a bear.
Oh, we see them all the time up here.
Well, but you get what I'm saying. You're not just gonna walk out well, maybe there, but in most places, you're not just gonna walk out in the woods and go, "Oh, look, a bear."
Yeah.
A lot of bears become dependent on humans because humans leave trash and scraps and shit behind, and they eat that. They become used to it. So, there, and then in some parts here in America, well, in the U.S., I keep saying America. Hell, you're in America. But In some parts of the U.S., they're, just a constant daily thing. But to just walk out in the woods, just way out in the middle of nowhere, you'd never see a bear.
Mm. I'm not saying that it's like an everyday occurrence, but once in a while for sure.
Yeah. But wolves, unless there's a fresh kill around or somebody is baiting them, you won't see them.
Yeah.
They're very intelligent creatures, and they stay the hell away from us.
Probably for the best.
Well, people say, oh, well, wolves are dangerous. You can't go into the woods. You'll get eaten by a pack. No, even a large pack will not get near a human being. I don't know if it's the way we smell, it's just a scent in the air. They can, just like any other dog, they can detect danger.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, even a large pack is not going to attack a single human. If it's an animal, which is, what's bred into them to do, yeah, they'll take the animal down, but they're not going to come after a human. It's not that we're on top of the food chain. It's scientific, and I don't know how to explain it right off the top of my head, but there's an animalistic nature. When you get one single human out in the woods, and then you get a pack of wolves, it's almost like the wolves are looking at the human as being the alpha almost.
Yeah.
And they won't attack. The movie with Liam Neeson in it, the Gray, that was bullshit 100%.
I've never even watched it.
When the airplane went down, yes, the wolves did drag off the wounded and the dead because they were easy prey. But for that pack of wolves to track them down as they were trying to get out of Alaska, or the Alaska wilderness, that's bullshit.
Ugh. Getting tired here.
Sounds like it. Let's see. It's almost 1 o'clock. Man, it's 2 hours past your bedtime.
I know it is. I also woke up at like God knows what time this morning.
Find us on the web at www.investigation-cryptoparalogy. That's CRYPTOPARAOLOGY.com. On Facebook at www.facebook.com/investigation-crypto. Listen to us on any major podcast players, including Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and of course Spotify. We continue to spread to more podcast players each day. You may contact us by using the contact page on the website, or by sending a direct message to our Facebook page, or by emailing us directly at investigationcryptoparalogy@gmail.com. That is investigation, CRYPTOPARAOLOGY@gmail.com. Also, I would like to add this. If you're feeling down on yourself, or like you don't matter, or there's no hope left, we're here for you. You can contact us through our Facebook page or by emailing us at investigationcryptoparalogy@gmail.com. We are happy to listen and possibly help you find a better tomorrow. If you don't want to talk to us, you can contact the Suicide Hotline of the United States. They have a crisis text line if you verbally speaking to someone is not your thing. Text HOME, all capital letters, HOME, to 741741. If you do want to verbally speak to someone, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. And if you are a veteran, you can also call 1-800-273-8255 and then press 1. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. I sincerely hope you will join us again next time for another spine-tingling, hair-raising experience from the depths of the abyss. If you would like to contact me about an experience you have had or to get on the show, email me at investigationcryptoparalogy@gmail.com. That's investigation, CRYPTOPARAOLOGY@gmail.com. 'Cause my monster's